A war between the Brune-injected sides. Casualties are mounting on the bloodied battlefield. Tiger, a great Brune archer, is one of the last survivors. He spots war maiden L0rd and tries to take her down with his remaining arrows. Her exceptional sword skills deflected his arrows. It is Tiger's loss, and thus he belongs to her now. A flashback reveals Tiger was part of the Brune forces, and their superior numbers are what make them believe they are invincible. Fellow nobleman Zion doesn't like Tiger a bit, and continues to mock his status, especially his bow weapon of choice. Only the Count of Odd, Mashes, stops Zion from further belittling Tiger. There are rumors going around that Duke Felix is forcing his subjects to contribute to the war, burning those who refuse, and making an example of families fighting each other to the death. Tiger hopes their prince can do something about it. Suddenly it becomes totally weird because Mashes puts his finger into Tiger's mouth. It turns out Tiger has woken from his slumber, and L0rd is putting her sword into his mouth. He is now a prisoner injected. Mashes sends a message back to Titta, Tiger's maid, back in Alsace, in Brune. Despite the Brune army outnumbering their enemy greatly, they still lost, and Tiger has been captured as a prisoner. Based on some treaties, if a ransom is not delivered to Jected within 50 days, Tiger becomes their property. Tiger is sent to see L0rd about this ransom, and he knows it is too high for his people to even pay. L0rd then has Tiger demonstrate in an archery match. Everyone ridicules his poor shot when, in fact, he was just testing and getting the feel of this bow. When an assassin is spotted, L0rd quickly defends herself with her wind power. Tiger then quickly fires to accurately maim his leg instead of killing him. L0rd is sorry that she didn't know her subjects and gave Tiger a bad bow to publicly humiliate him. But Tiger doesn't want their heads, and she hopes she can forgive them. Tiger is surprised to learn that L0rd fell for him at first sight. Rumors of this spread, and because her men wanted him killed, she thought the best way to suppress that was to show them his archery skills. L0rd is amazed at his skills and how he tried to kill her calmly. A reason why L0rd doesn't like Tiger is probably because one of his earlier arrows took down her horse. L0rd suggests Tiger serve under her, and bestow the same title he had in Brune. But he declines since he already has a place to return to and protect. A place that he inherited from his late father. Tiger may have made friends with another bowman, L0rd, but walking around so freely may not be a good idea since, in the eyes of others, he is still a prisoner. Later that night, an old Brunish man was caught and brought before Tiger. He is Bertrand, his attendant. Although happy to see each other, Bertrand reports that the Thénardier's forces are marching on Alsace. Tiger wants to return to his country, but L0rd stands in his way. Zion, the Thénardier's eldest son, is given 2 dragons and given command of the invasion of Alsace. L0rd wants to know what a single man like Tiger can do against thousands of soldiers. Better than standing around doing nothing. L0rd is annoyed that he is rushing into things when he is supposed to be calm and using his brain. So he calms down and thinks about his possible next move. He bows his head to request that L0rd lend her soldiers. She starts laughing and allows it, but not for free. Tiger agrees to give Alsace to her as long as she governs fairly. L0rd never expected this answer because she thought he was going to become his subordinate. Thénardier reveals he sent his son to take Alsace because, since the prince's death, the king is losing his grip on the throne, and Brune will either be ruled by him or gone L0rd. Even though Alsace is a remote and backwater country, Thénardier wants his son to get used to handling the dragons. While the people of Alsace are being evacuated to safety shelters, Titta continues to wait in Tiger's home, hoping to greet her master when he returns. Zion's army pillages Alsace, but they can't touch the temple where the people are hiding, otherwise, all other Brune people will turn against them. Zion trespasses into Tiger's house, and he is about to assault Titta, but before he can lay his hands on her, an arrow is shot through his palm. Tiger comes riding to rescue Titta, with L0rd's wind power, to soften the reckless rescue act. She reveals her sword. L0rd controls the wind, and only a war maiden can wield it. Titta has an emotional reunion with Tiger. She was scared, but she believed in him. Tiger could feel a hidden assassin. He uses his hand to stop an arrow from hitting Titta before nailing one back at him. Titta gives Tiger a black bow that she has been protecting all along. It has been handed down through the family for generations. Tiger remembers his father telling him only to use it when he needed to. L0rd orders her army to rout the remaining enemies. Although the enemies pillaging Alsace are killed, they will still need to face the main force. Zion panics and blames Tiger for this, which is akin to the betrayal of his fellow countrymen. He splits up his force into 3 groups, but the special trump card they hold are the dragons. Since L0rd wants ropes in their next battle, Titta will help gather as much as she can from the people. Jected forces charge straight into the battlefield. They are encountered by a brass land dragon. This is part of Zion's plan, as his army flanks and surrounds them. L0rd's team is acting as an independent unit and attacking the flanking army. While the soldiers get squished, L0rd powers up Arifar by using a dragon art called L0rd M to float the dragon up in the air, and then cut it in half. Once done, L0rd's team retreats. The enemy followed but got tripped by the ropes laid as traps. Zion learns the enemy has reinforcements of 2,000 soldiers approaching and coming from behind, overwhelming theirs. His subjects suggest using the other dragon, but Zion refuses. He already lost one, and if he loses this one, he fears he will be blamed. Thinking his own life is more important, he orders his men to retreat. Some believe they can tough it out, but Zion won't have that. Tiger is going to face Zion. Zion continues to mock commoners and Tiger, but the latter will not tolerate him plundering his land. All that is left now is for them to duel. But Tiger chooses only a bow. He tests a few shots but is blocked by Zion's shield. When Zion charges, Tiger's next arrow goes through his arm. He failed to notice the shots were hit at the same place, which weakened the structure. Armies from both sides now clash. Zion escapes on the dragon. Tiger hears a voice from the black bow to aim at the dragon. The bow also absorbs some power from Arifar. The supercharged shot kills the dragon and sends Zion plunging to his death. Zion's soldiers' morale falls to an all-time low, and they are easily routed. The Navarre curses L0rd because the moment his troops lost, he pulled out. To deal with Tiger, he wants to send Sarash, a group of notorious assassins, to kill him, and as for L0rd, they'll send another war maiden to deal with her. L0rd returns to Silesia, Jechted's capital, to seek an audience with the king. He is not pleased that L0rd did not seek his permission before taking her army into Brune territory. Although L0rd explains Tiger's reason for protecting his country, the king finds it a lame excuse because it is like involving their country in a war like a common mercenary. Fellow war maiden Safia alleviates his anger by saying that in war, victory often favors haste over caution. After the meeting, L0rd runs into another war maiden, Ludmila. They both hate each other, and before sparks can start to fly, Safia stops them. Safia is cautious about L0rd making enemies out of her since she has contacts with the Navarre. Although her house has been on good terms with them for a long time, Ludmila doesn't like them but will never let her personal feelings. Tiger is happy that Mashes has returned, although the latter is cautious of L0rd and her army's presence. He understands once Tiger explains. Mashes wants to know Tiger's next step. He will attack the Navarre. As the feudal lord of his country, he is obliged to protect his people. Mashes then is going to the Brune capital to seek an audience with the king to make Tiger's case. At the same time, Tiger and L0rd travel to other counties to seek allies. Then they meet up with L0rd, who explains the condition her king gave her. If Alsace becomes her territory, she must hand it over to the king. This isn't a big deal, as they can try to change Alsace's situation. The problem is the other condition. She must put Jechted's interest above anything else, and behave prudently. Tiger thought that felt normal, but he failed to see the deeper aspect of it. With such ambiguous phrasing, he is trying to tie everyone to the war. Whoever wins, the king benefits in the end. Therefore, it is safe to assume that aristocrats won't make any sudden moves. The hierarchy of Jechted is absolute, with the king on top, followed by war maidens, and then nobles. This would lead to problems with other war maidens, as not all of them are on their side. But she cautions that one will only be a problem. And here comes Ludmila. She is here to take a look at Tiger. Ludmila doesn't hide her connection with the Navarre from him. She wants to take the conversation elsewhere, so as they ride through the forest, they notice traps laid out by assassins. L0rd thinks Tiger is the target since the Navarre would be happy with his death and L0rd would be forced to leave Brune. They are attacked but are able to fight back. Noticing their crest, the assassins are from Sarash. When L0rd is bitten by a snake, Tiger has to administer first aid immediately and suck out the poison. When the rest of the assassins simultaneously attack, Ludmila activates her special attack and summons large icicles from the ground to stab all of them. Ludmila is disappointed in L0rd for getting so flustered over her retainer and failing her as a war mate. She heads off first to Rodnik while leaving them to get medical aid for L0rd. L0rd is healed, and L0rd is going to let Tiger have his reward. In town, because Ludmila's pride has her not tasting stall food, L0rd starts eating and claiming how tasty it is despite her. Tiger lets her taste some, and L0rd is not too pleased. After they part, L0rd tells L0rd to strengthen their border patrol. As predicted, Ludmila assembled an army on Leitmeritz's border. This means L0rd's forces are sandwiched between Ludmila and the Navarre's army. L0rd lets Tiger decide. Fight Ludmila now and stop worrying about her in the future, or prepare against the Navarre and Gainland's invasion of Alsace. Tiger sends an envoy first, but Ludmila ignores it. Both sides clash, and both suffer heavy casualties and are forced to withdraw. As L0rd gets ready for the next battle, Ludmila's forces withdraw and hole up at her ice castle stronghold in the Tatra Mountains. L0rd realizes they have been had since it is a tough place to penetrate. Although Elen attacks, her forces are being pushed back. So she wants to make a desperate move by herself to wipe the enemy out from behind since the cold is getting to her men. But Lim doesn't want her to do this and wants Tiger to convince her. At such times, Elen asserts her position that Tiger belongs to her. He also doesn't want her to do this and considers her important. She finds it funny and would have cut off his head if he said the name of another woman. If he has a better plan, she is all ears. Tiger goes on a scouting mission. Lim gave him a bear skin so he could trek across the snowy terrain without suspicion. Low on food, he shoots his arrow at a fox. However, Ludmila was also hunting and shot it. At first, she didn't believe he could shoot that far, but when he demonstrates, she is amazed. She invites him to share it with her, not knowing who is behind this bear's skin. Tiger calls himself Urs and maintains wearing bear skin, claiming it is a law of his country not to take out animal hide on the mountains. He notices a different side of Ludmila as she serves him tea, and smiles like that. She doesn't suspect him of being a spy and talks about her responsibility as a war maiden and having to hide her feelings while working for people she hates just for her country's good. As they part, she hopes he will stop by her castle one day. After a while, Tiger follows her footsteps to her castle to survey the surroundings. Then he returns with Elen and her troops, getting ready to take it down. Elen uses her wind power to break down the gate, but to no avail. It's like the enemy expected her, and they start raining arrows on her. She is obsessed with trying again and could have been killed had Tiger not saved her. Tiger pleads with L0rd to lend its power, and because the sword likes him, it powers up his arrow to make a hole in the gate. Elen then orders her men to charge in. As Elen and Ludmila clash, but a Sarash member tries to kill Ludmila, but Tiger's arrow is fast enough to kill him. For this gratitude, Ludmila slaps him. She realizes his arrow skills and that he is that Urs guy. Tiger considers this a repayment for her delicious tea. His wish is that she stay neutral. It would be great if she allied with him, but he has nothing to offer. With this, Ludmila is amazed at his honesty in protecting his homeland and announces that she will not support the Nardir. Although Elen doesn't have to worry about Ludmila's forces, it seems the Nardir has another faction involved. Roland, Brun's strongest knight, and the head of the Order of Navarre, wielding the invincible Durandal sword, is being ordered to take out insurgents. A month later, Tiger has decent army backing from Jekted as well as a ragtag group that he has allied with. However, with their army coming from different backgrounds, fighting is going to be plentiful. Tiger has to step in to quell them, even for the silliest reason of fighting over the shape of a cloud. Elen is worried that, with Masha's not back yet, she wonders if Tiger's petition has been delivered. The next day, Sofia meets Tiger and Alina and explains that she is on official business here. As they have not heard Brun's explanation for their actions, she is sent as an envoy. Though she was told the Brun king was ill and wasn't able to meet him to clarify their stance, however, she was made to pass a message to Elen for Tiger. Tiger is now considered a traitor and stripped of all his titles and powers. Alsace will be considered the property of the king and will be self-governed for now. A messenger will soon be dispatched for this, but Tiger could learn more about this from Masha's. Although there won't be any concerns for other war maidens' actions, the big concern is how the fellow Brun people will act once they learn Tiger stands accused of treason. The Order of Navarre is drawing closer to them. Although messengers were sent, they were ignored. Some of the counts are worried about this and wonder if they should ally themselves with their fellow Brun instead of the Jekted army that is backing them. However, Tiger considers the Nardir a ruthless and cruel king, and they need to go into battle for their own sakes. So both sides clash. Roland fights Elen and is impressed by her fighting caliber. Elen is knocked off her horse. Her only choice is to use dragon art, but him being human is what is making her hold back. Tiger comes to save the day. It might seem he misfired his arrow, but that serves as a distraction to pick up Elen. Also, with the right timing, that misfired arrow strikes and kills Roland's horse. But Tiger is out of action as he has taken a nasty slash across his chest from Roland. Sofia has Elen escape with him while she handles things from here. Sofia fights Roland for a short, while since it is her plan to buy time for her comrades to escape. With Masha's army coming in as reinforcements, Roland withdraws his troops. Masha's then tells Elen and his team that he failed to seek an audience with the king. However, the prime minister and his best friend, Pierre Baudouin, secretly took him to the king's chambers. He is shocked to see him playing with building blocks. The shock of losing his son must have turned him, and not many are aware of his condition, and perhaps the Nardir and Gonellen knew about it and used it to their advantage. After he left, he was ambushed by assassins. Sofia saved him, and that was how he met her. After that, Elen goes to see Tiger unconscious in his bed and vows to fight on his behalf. Defend what he is protecting. He belongs to her, after all. When Tiger wakes up, he finds Titta by his side. However, his bow starts resonating as they follow its guide to a temple. Meanwhile, L0rd leads the attack against the Order of Navarre. The latter may be using its flanking attack, but L0rd's troops are using sandbags to divert the river and turn the battlefield into a swampy marshland to turn the tides. Inside the temple, Titta believes this is a temple that houses Navarre, the goddess of death and darkness. The goddess possesses Titta to tell Tiger that it was he who came here to seek greater powers and not she who summoned him. She will give him power, but he must prove his resolve by shooting Titta. Tiger agrees and powers up his arrow. Right before it hits Titta, the power disperses and stops the arrow. The goddess barely passes him. Then he rushes back to the battlefield. Roland is fighting L0rd and Sofia. It cuts through their power. Tiger fires his arrow, but he is able to strike it down. Roland confirms with him about hiring the ejected army to protect Alsace. They mention that the Navarre is their goal and want Roland to join them, but he refuses since he is his royal knight. Tiger's wound starts to open again, so he makes it quick to fire his arrow, powered up with the goddess power. Roland strikes it head-on and is in a dilemma who is protecting the people. In the aftermath of the power clash, everyone is surprised Roland is still standing. However, Roland admits defeat as he cannot raise his arms to use Durandal. He cannot win as he is now and attributes his loss to his doubts. Tiger can rest easy as he faints. With the Order of Navarre withdrawing, L0rd and others march directly towards the Navarre. To make amends for attacking him, Roland will return to the capital to seek an audience with the king. He leaves Durandal in Tiger's hands. Also, L0rd receives a letter from her fellow war maiden friend, Alsace, to whom she is indebted. She is under attack from another war maiden, and they promise to rush to the other's side when in trouble, so L0rd and Lim will be away for a while. When Roland returns to the capital, he is trapped in a room by L0rd. Viewing this as his failure to kill the traitor, poison bees are unleashed. Roland's death reaches everyone, and the Navarre is not amused. Even more worrying is the fact that Brun's southern neighbor, Muizinal, is taking advantage of them and advancing on them. The Navarre leads a small army to lure some Muizinal troops into his territory to fight them. He leaves his main force under the pretense of protecting L0rd. Meanwhile, Tiger and his army need to fight and defend the territoire region with only 1,700 men in hopes of preventing a national crisis. Tiger sees Muizinal troops taking an entire village as prisoner, and although he wants so much to save them, he is only here to scout and prepare. There are more woes on their side because they do not have enough weapon supply, and the Muizinal forces might use the prisoners as human shields to prevent their attacks. The Muizinal's supreme commander, rksm, learns about the skirmish attack of a small army on their troop. He knows it is a decoy and sends thousands of his men to eliminate it. True enough, they are lured into a valley where they are ambushed. They are defeated, and this is part of Tiger's plan to salvage the enemy's weapon. Tiger continues to make small ambushes to reduce their number. In retaliation, rksm executes some of the prisoners outright. When both forces meet head-on, rksm cannot believe Tiger is the commander of the Brun army, as those people hate archers. As the fight begins, Tiger shoots his arrow right into rksm's forehead. The Muizinal soldiers lose hope and run as Tiger's forces give chase and hunt them down. As Tiger frees the prisoners, some are mad that he didn't take action earlier because those executed could have been prevented. Tiger can only apologize, but at the end of the day, they are grateful for being saved. It is considered an achievement for Tiger's troops to destroy a quarter of Muizinal's army, considering the size of their army. But they can't rest yet. Captured Muizinal prisoners mentioned that this is just the beginning. They were just the vanguard, and a strong 30,000-man troop is advancing. It is already tough that they have to escape with the newly freed people, but the Muizinal is taking no chances and charging straight at them. Tiger takes some of his archers to try and take some pot shots at them. It didn't slow them down. But Ludmila shows, and he had no idea Ludmila and her soldiers would be able to assist him. Back then, while L0rd and Ludmila were still fighting each other, Sasha came by, and she stopped them. They were scared of her. She suggested fighting them both at once. If they win, she'll do anything they ask. Otherwise, they must apologize to each other. And because the ladies hate each other more than anything, they quickly team up and attack Sasha, but lose. They are forced to apologize. L0rd has arrived at Sasha's side. She learns that war maiden Elizaveta is the one trying to attack her. It all began when they tried to eliminate pirates together. As they were finishing things up, Elizaveta accused her army of deliberating and leading the pirates towards hers. They have broken contact since. Ludmila talks to Tiger and chides him for his submissive attitude and the way he sounds desperate, wanting her help. She knows that during L0rd's attack on her fortress, it wasn't Arifar who could break through that thick gate. She suspects it was his bow. She takes a look at it but isn't impressed, despite it being a family heirloom. She asks why he doesn't use it often in battle. He has not mastered its powers yet, and each time he uses it, he will black out. Ludmila agrees to help him out, and in return, she hopes he will repay the favor by showing the bow's power to her. L0rd faces off with Elizaveta. Both sides clash, as do the big ladies themselves. L0rd seems to be winning and will not let Elizaveta go until the latter warns that she has more things to worry about. L0rd has started mobilizing his army, indicating she is working under him and Muizinal is invading from the south. She suggests withdrawing and getting back to talking about business with the pirates while adding a 1-year non-aggression pact for good measure. L0rd agrees under the condition that she sincerely apologizes to Sasha. With this settled, L0rd rushes back to L0rd. Ludmila discusses war strategy with Tiger. Tiger's men can only last one more battle, and facing this huge army, it won't be easy taking out their supplies or commander. Curies is the brother of Muizinal's king. Curies split his army into many divisions to stem out ambush attacks as he marched through the land. In the end, Tiger's men never showed up. A scout reports to Curies that an oral message was sent to them. Something about they better leave because they are invaders or risk getting. Curies splits his army into several strong divisions as he plans to chase after the people and make them his slaves. But they were ambushed by Ludmila's troops hiding behind hills thought to be unguarded. Then the people turn out to be ejected soldiers in disguise. The real people are stationed back at the hill fortress. Although Tiger and Ludmila charge directly at Curies' unit, Curies is not fazed and only calls back a division and has the rest continue with their mission. He plans to tire them out. True enough, some of the soldiers are at their limits, and the Muizinal soldiers easily rout them. Tiger will not give up and continue fighting, and this impresses Ludmila. Suddenly, Brun's reinforcements arrive to help Tiger. They were sent by Masha. One of them was Count August, who once served Tiger's family. Curies is confident they can still strike down the enemy since the main force is tiring out. But when Masha's and his troops arrive, Curies orders a retreat and combines all his divisions into one. He then waits for crucial information before making his next move. Once he learns the troops left behind to attack the southern harbor were sunk by the Navarre, the task of securing these locations with limited men seems too high a risk to take. He orders a full retreat, as long as he can shift the blame to someone else. To save face, he thinks up lines to praise Tiger and sends a messenger to convey them to him. It was boring speech that made Tiger fall asleep. Ludmila joins him in sleeping together in her tent. When morning comes and L0rd has returned, Ludmila clings onto Tiger. Thankfully, L0rd didn't lose her cool, although she is pretty annoyed at Ludmila. Alone with L0rd, Tiger apologizes for getting so many of her soldiers killed. But she's not mad because he did not regret his fights. Instead, she is grateful, and it is an honor to those who fought courageously and died in battle. War maiden, Valentina cuts a portal into Tiger's room to kill him while he is asleep, but she decided to leave it be. Tiger is called by Mashes because there are rumors that the prince is still alive. One of the women Tiger personally saved during Muizinal's invasion, Regine, comes to see them. She reveals herself to be the supposed dead Prince Rignaz. Mashes couldn't believe it. He almost died of a heart attack. Regine continues that an assassin was sent to attack her troop, and so it was assumed she fell in battle. She has been posing as a prince all the while because her fellow countrymen do not think highly of a queen who does not bear a son. Plus, females have a lower chance of succeeding to the throne. If they find out about her gender, the Navarre and L0rd will definitely make their move. Regine trusts Tiger because he doesn't have an ulterior motive. A few nights ago, when she visited his tent and requested that he wash her body, it was a way to test him. It's a good thing he didn't jump on her or anything. To prove her royal lineage, she knows there is a door in Lutetia, the capital of Artesium, that only royals can open. Meanwhile, the Navarre has obtained 5 new dragons that can even kill war maidens. As for L0rd, everything seems to be going as planned, and he has nothing more to do. So he is going to leave Tiger, who is going to Artesium, and the Navarre, who is going to prevent that, with an underground parting gift for the winner. Jektid's king makes Sofia the emissary to Brun to bring L0rd back because he feels a war is going to start. After that, Sofia encounters Valentina as she makes her way into the palace. News that L0rd burned down Lutetia before going missing. As the Navarre's army is slowly marching north, Tiger says there is no change in their plans. This is a head-on clash with the Navarre. L0rd and Ludmila fight the dragons, but a couple of them seem to be immune to their powers. The Navarre wants his men to surround the war maidens before the dragons are killed, even if this means losing thousands of his men. L0rd got injured while saving Ludmila, although it was just a scratch. When both sides pull back, L0rd talks with the rest about those immune dragons. It is believed their chains are made of metal that nullifies the war maiden's dragon gear powers, but she knows there is a way to defeat it. Before the fight resumes, the Navarre's scout reports that their enemy is poorly outfitted for battle. They are trying to gauge their melee combat and prevent them from using their dragons. The Navarre orders them to continue with their plan. Tiger orders his men to retreat, put back their proper gear, and leave the war maidens to fight the dragons. They make the dragons get into each other's crossfire before taking them out by stabbing through their vital core. They also combine some old tactics of theirs to bring it down. After the war, everyone discussed what to expect at Artesium. Regin explains their goal, which is the Holy Grotto. It is situated underground, supposedly at the birthplace of Brune. There are 3 secret entrances to it, and the closest to them that they will take is some temple. Bertrand requests to come along since he wants to be with his master as long as he can, because after the war, Tiger will return dejected and his old body cannot keep up for long. Tiger agrees, and L0rd also wants to come along. The group enters the small temple and makes their way through a secret passage. A drawing on the cave wall depicting gods fighting a battle against dragons is a sign they are getting close. However, the Navarre and his men are also here. They have entered via another entrance. He knows about Regin, and since talk is not needed, both sides clash. While L0rd handles the Navarre, Steed, the Navarre's second in command, engages Tiger and Rorik. He is able to block Tiger's arrow shots despite being blocked and having poor lighting. The fighting has been put on hold since the cave is about to collapse. Everyone escapes, but Tiger continues fighting Steed to buy time. Unfortunately, he is cornered and out of arrows. Bertrand turns back, protects Tiger, and gets slashed. After the collapse, Tiger wakes up. Steed is dead after being crushed by the rocks. More disheartening is Bertrand, who has lost a lot of blood. He believes his death will not be in vain because he protected Tiger. He mentions how he is proud of Tiger, who has many times surpassed his expectations. L0rd and the others are going to rescue Tiger, but they see some beam that turns above ground into a huge crater. L0rd is glad Tiger is okay, but Bertrand is dead. Tiger has been in shock since, and everyone else can't tell if Tiger can be back on his feet by tonight. It was the power of the bow that caused that crater, and the goddess was impressed that he mastered it. But he is still saddened by Bertrand's death. L0rd comes in to talk about his next course of action. Depending on the terms the Navarre offers, he may still choose to cease his fight and engage in negotiations. She will be doing what she can with pride as a warrior. Tiger's mind is clear now, and he will decide on his next move. He apologizes to Titta for worrying her. L0rd also hints at the other reason she is helping him. Why did Muazinal attack from the south? The port is the center of trade. It soon hit Tiger and the bigger picture of the Vosges Mountains. If there is a highway connecting Alsace to Leitmeritz, trade and culture will bloom, enriching the territory in the process. Soon, Baudouin visits them and informs them that the king has gotten better, although he is still weak. He was being poisoned by Gonellan. He wants to know about Tiger's actions. After ensuring Alsace is safe, he will return dejected to resume being their prisoner. Also, if Alsace cannot be safe in Brune, he is considering making it part of Jected. Tiger decided to face the Navarre in a final showdown at Mireville Fields. With the final showdown begins, Tiger asked the Navarre the reason for his attack on Alsace. With Alsace under his control, he could have prevented Jected's interference. Torching the land and people would make it a sure deal. But Tiger had to come back with Jected's reinforcement. If he had not, Gonellan would, since he has old ties with Jected. Tiger can't forgive him, and the Navarre can't either, for slaying Roland. Tiger is about to summon the bow's power when L0rd punches him. Although getting revenge isn't wrong, don't get lost in that hatred. Don't rely on it as a weapon. Tiger's mind is now clear as he faces the Navarre with only a single arrow. As the Navarre charges, the arrow strikes right in his forehead. It might look like a silly and easy job, but as he thinks back, the Navarre actually could have deflected the arrow had it not been for the wind changing its trajectory. And it wasn't from Arafar, so this is Tiger's victory on his own. As the group arrives at Nice, Tiger sits next to the princess, parading his troops through the city. As the crowds cheer for the knights, commanders, and Princess, Tiger expresses his discomfort towards it. When they arrive at the king's bedchamber, they find Sofia already there. Farron expresses his sorrow that he was a poor king and father. He thanks Tiger for his deeds and asks for what he wishes. Tiger responds with 4 things. Payment for the kingdom of Jected's alliance in the war. The kingdom of Brune will pay for all the damages caused by the kingdom of Jected during the war. The land of Agnes shall be given to the kingdom of Jected, and a 3-year non-aggression treaty with the kingdom of Jected. The king agrees and has Regin sign the document, recognizing her as the next rightful ruler of Brune. He then makes Tiger the next Lumiere Knight, Knight of the Moonlight. A few days later, King Farron quietly passes away in his sleep. In Jected, Lim and L0rd talk about the new trade route they were building with the cooperation of Regin and praise her trustworthiness. They wonder what Tiger plans to do next. Mila is shown trudging through the snow with a bow. Tiger is shown shooting at an unknown target as L0rd thinks about how glad she is that she met him. Thank you for watching till the end, and please don't forget to subscribe.